heads are up, and they kick the ball, and they kick past well, and you know, they kick diagonal balls, and they use. I mean, they've got two of the best ball-winning full forwards in the game on the edge of the square, and they're entirely redundant. The net effect of that now is that Michael Murphy has come away out into his own defence at times. McFadden's out around the midfield area. And I mean, really what you've got is just hand passing and hand passing and hand passing without anyone looking up, and then someone just taking a shot from 50 metres, hoping that it'll go over the bar. And, you know, that's how they've got their 2 or 3 scores from play. But in fact, there's no magic with it, there's no fun with it. And it's a very, very poor style of play. I mean, they've got to find the balance between defence and attack, and they haven't done that. Speaking of which, Colin, that's exactly how they started to get their scores from play, and it took them 21 minutes to get the first of those.
Yeah, it was a fairly boring opening 20 minutes. They certainly did improve, but in the end, it appeared as if the Donegal players who shot for points did it because there wasn't nearly anybody available just to take a short hand pass. And here we have Dermot Malloy having a shot from range with a bit of wind behind him and kicks a great point. And again, he gave one to the Derry team recently, and I'm not joking you, it's changed their lives. You won't find it in any manual now. You won't find it in any of John Morrison's manuals on motivational talk.
Thankfully, perhaps, just in case people think we're being too hard on Donegal here, Joe, you've been looking at their pattern of play and just exactly how they set the team up, and I think what you've got coming up here illustrates this. Well, the priority is defence, and when the priority is made defence, you know, then the players will play in that way, and they'll play with fear. There's 10 players. Now, we could have taken 50 snapshots from the first half that would have shown exactly that. There are 10 defenders, there are 10 players back, you know, half of them forwards, obviously. Mostly Colin McFadden's in the Donegal half on its own. Now, the net effect of that is when they do get the ball and come out, it's not that they move the ball quickly and long to the danger men. They don't really have a creative player at centre half forward. What's certain frame of mind, the only player in their own attacking half of the field is Colin McFadden. Even if he gets the ball, what are his options? He lays it off to someone else coming through. So it becomes, you know, it becomes a mess, really, in essence, and the priority is defending. And if you can snipe a few scores well and good, that's okay at the moment. It's not going to be any good in terms of winning an Ulster championship or advancing beyond that. OK, we're going to take another break here on the programme. And my view is there's sort of conflicting forces at play here. The Donegal management or the Donegal players will say, you know, our job is not to entertain. If we decide we're going to win a game and if it stays 6 points to 3, then we're into the next round, we're happy with that. But the wider obligations to the game itself are, you know, the game has to be entertaining or people just won't go to see it. And nobody would be a bit interested in going to see that sort of rubbish that we have there in the first half. You know, and people say to me, well, you know, you're an old dinosaur, you only like the type of football there was in the 80s and 90s. We had football last year in the championship, which had a lot of defence, but we had brilliant attack as well, which is missing here. And, you know, if this is the evolution of the game, then Darwin was probably right. We're all still apes. But this, because this isn't either entertaining or skillful or anything else. There's nothing to recommend this game. We coined a phrase here on... Really care how that happens. The thing is, though, that there's a pattern with Jim's approach. You saw it with the under-21s last year. I mean, they circled the wagons. They forgot to attack in the final. They would have beaten Dublin except they forgot to attack. I mean, Michael Murphy stood redundant on the edge of the square that day. And, you know, they still could have won it. Now, this sort of game can be quite effective, but so long as you marry it with an attacking plan and an attacking strategy. But the difficulty there is that either their attacking strategy is being ignored by the players or there is no attacking strategy, because what you're seeing is that the overwhelming priority is defensive, so that even Michael Murphy... And at times it could have shown even 10, 12, 13 players back, is you cannot give the ball up to anybody because there is actually nobody in attack. And it seems strange to me when they have two attackers who are probably as good as any other forwards in the country, that at least they don't keep those two up, keep a man, say, in the centre half forward position, that you'd always have three up, like Kerry or Cork. Like Cork are the best example. They'll always leave Daniel Gould and Kieran Sheehan and Paddy Kelly up there in the attack so that they can kick the ball up. And it seems to me that it's self-defeating for Donegal to play in the style that they are.
40 metres out from the Antrim target. Back to Dermot Malloy. Held onto by Martin McElhenney. Back to Colin McFadden having a go. And McFadden has put it over the bar. Point for Colin McFadden, his second of the match. First came at the beginning of the game, a free. This time the product of some slow, patient build-up, and McFadden taking on the responsibility At the time when we saw it first, Martin, I think it was going outside the post, but the wind somehow must have managed to carry it in.
Well, I thought from this angle that we were at, and we were perfectly positioned for it, that the ball had actually got outside the post. But none of the Antrim players seemed to object about it. The umpires were very well placed, and obviously they're the people in the correct position to adjudicate on it.
Not Michael Murphy setting off again. McFadden has gone very deep, slipping it outside here. Waiting for it is Ryan Bradley. A very good first half. Man from Bungrana, the 25-year-old, lets fly, gets the boot behind it, and this time he's put the ball wide. Football has changed fundamentally. Colin McFadden. Bouncing it here is McHugh, having a go, and the crowd like it, giving their roars of encouragement, and Mark McHugh gets his first point of the 2011 championship. To go with a couple of points he got last year. Played in 2 matches then, played here against Down, played against Armagh as well. Bounced it, looked very composed, struck it beautifully. His manager looks on in pensive mood. This from about 30 metres from the target, to try and extend the advantage. And he's got it absolutely right. So 2 points from 2 frees. And they're passing the parcel, basically. And in the end, this is held up here by Kevin Cassidy. It's a bit of a struggle. Chipped ahead by Brady, in tight towards the end line. Held onto by Scullion, the wing back. Here's a chance, really good chance, fell to Niblock, and booted away in the end by Paddy McGrath. Last offence. 5 points between the teams in the 48th minute. Murphy kicking from 35 metres, and he has dragged it badly on. And so too the number 27, not programmed, but that is Patrick McBrearty. So he's gonna come on, the 17-year-old on the right of your picture right now. He played in the minor match, and he's now going to play in the senior match and make his championship debut. Before all of that, Michael Murphy steps up, kicks it calmly, and dispatches it over the cross to Anto Healy. Colin Murray now playing it here towards Healy again. Still they look for a couple of late scores and might just get one here. They do. Nice point. And I think it may well have been Mark Dugan who got it. So good score for him, just on in the last couple of minutes.
Well,
took it really well.
Yeah, what's very noticeable about that, that's the first time I've seen the Antrim defenders. It'd be fun if Antrim got a goal now.
Yeah, and what if Danny McLaughlin comes on in the next couple of minutes for Donegal? Here comes Eardon Gallagher, little block on it there by Michael Murphy. Well, they're going to show plenty of endeavour, you can be certain of that, as Tomás McCann has a go, and he's got another white flag. It's not over just yet. Tomás McCann with his second. 10 points to 6. And Ryan Bradley is going to be the one who will make way. And Danny McLaughlin, number 24, is going to come on. Taking on Carol Lacey, but dragging him down at the same time.
Yes, and just counting there as you're commentating, there are 14 Donegal players inside their own 45-metre line at the moment. The only outlet, if they do get the ball out, is Colin McFadden, who is up inside the 20-metre line on the far side. And
as you say, there's a gap between the 65-metre line and the 20 metres.
That's right, and so it's no wonder the Donegal have to run through the hands, like short hand pass the ball and all the way out. They have so many men concentrating in defence at the moment. They're happy to just see out the game at 10 points to 6 as it is at the moment, but just from the point of spectacle, it doesn't add to it.
Well, Mark Dugan, Antrim, and the injury necessitates. Oh, that's a red card, is it?
Yes, straight red.
And a straight red card given to Mark Dugan.
I didn't see the actual incident.
Well, there were two players going for it with Carol Lacey. Let's have a look at it again here. Now, there's a hand being held.
He pulls him down. He pulls Lacey down with him. Oh, yes, definitely. That's an elbow straight in the face. Definite red card. Can't have any complaints about that.
Referee got it. Holding off here is Kevin Rafferty. Neatly in as far as McHugh. And McHugh strikes into the corner of the net. He was involved twice in that move. It's his first ever championship goal. It comes in the 70th minute. And it well and truly seals Antrim's fate and sends Donegal on their way to the first round proper of this year's Ulster Championship. His dad has done it so many times in the past. McHugh got the pass back from Kevin Rafferty. 3 Antrim players went and then left the space, but there was work to do for McHugh, and he took it with calmness and with an assurance, and that's a lovely finish. Really good combination play, really good finish by young Mark McHugh, the 20-year-old from Kilcar. It's 1-10 to
be said, and you have to, I suppose, at the same time acknowledge the effort made by both sets of players. But it was there's been loads of effort expended and all of that, but it's been a very poor game.
The final score of the match will be credited to Kevin Niblock. He's got a 2nd point from a free, a 7th point in all for Antrim, but they are well and truly beaten as the fans make their way off. It's going to be a 6-point defeat for Antrim, 6-point victory for the home team here, comfortably on their way to the first round of the Ulster Championship.
Here in studio, lads, Martin Carney said it there, and I suppose we can't put it any simpler than that. That was a very disappointing effort.
Yeah, well, basically we could just confirm after the match what we were saying at half-time. You know, the standard of the play was very poor. What you have is a sort of standard robotic type of player now who runs around the field, gets the ball from a hand pass and gives a hand pass, and you have a couple of players who kick the ball. So one of the great elementary skills of Gaelic football, kicking, has almost disappeared. I don't know what the stats would tell us from that game, but I'm quite sure it would show probably 7 or 8 times the amount of hand passes as kicks. It's not enjoyable from a spectator's point of view. Again, Jimmy McGuinness will go and say, you know, job done, players from Donegal will be happy. I can't understand the attitude of the Antrim players or the Antrim management who adopted a defensive mode to the game. Even though when they were far behind and the game was out of sight, they still retreated into defence instead of pushing up. The test for Donegal will be when they are behind in a game, what are they going to do? Are they going to be able to go forward and attack, or are they still going to be programmed into this defensive mode and won't be able to change?
Having seen what we just saw, it's easy enough, I suppose, to get sort of a bit depressed about the state of football, but hopefully what we've seen today isn't going to be what the standard of football is for the summer. No,
and you know, as there are bigger days and bigger games and the zip comes into the games, you know, I think that Antrim came to contain. I mean, Liam Bradley did not think in his heart of hearts that they could beat Donegal, and will probably be quite pleased that the scoreline was the way that it was. I mean, he came and he played an extra full-time defender. He kept that 7th defender throughout the second half when they were 6 points behind. So that's an illustration to you of the mindset. From Donegal's perspective, you know, Jim McGuinness will say, well, look, we're learning to defend. We're learning to do something that a Donegal team has never done before. And we're not going to be a pushover for anyone. But the difficulty comes whenever they go 3 or 4 points behind and then they've got to break out of that. And also the problems against a team like Cork, who are going to have you in your back foot and attacking you. Teams like Tyrone, who are going to be attacking you and not sort of, you know, letting you off the hook the way Antrim are doing. And, you know, it's just going to cause a problem. They need to find that balance between defence and attack, because the shame of it, the point is that they've got 3 or 4 very good forwards.
OK, we're headed for a short break. We're going to have more. It's Donegal against Cavan.
Yeah.
Will they win that one?
That will have the country on the edge of their seats. I mean, honestly, I can't remember the last time I looked forward to something so much.
It's unlikely to be a sellout game.
I remember the Dublin players being before the league final, we were being told about this revolutionary new defensive system, and it's almost impossible to break down. And it's all about marking space. Now, you tell me when Space last scored in Croke Park. I mean, you see in those 2 clips, by the way, in those 2 clips, they both scored. Paddy Cunningham scored for Antrim.
All right.
And Colin McFadden scored for Donegal.
OK, but a last point on that. Is it not...
I suppose from our perspective, you know, we've lost the 3 first round games in the last 3 years, you know, and it was just important to get a victory, and we're glad now that we have the victory. We have a month, I suppose, to look at this, and we definitely can say that we'll be able to make it better, because we've